And good afternoon, everybody. How have you all been? I'm exhausted, but good exhausted. I've been doing more than I've been doing in recent weeks, and yeah, recovery's going. Plus the fact the weather's been mixed here, so we've had like thunderstorms and sunny skies and all the other stuff in between. But you know what, shall I get rid of the bit where it says going live at 2 o'clock since I'm live? It's around here somewhere. Where is it? Come on, I have banners. Where are my banners? Really should put that into Stream Deck at some point to make it easier. I've still got an amount of learning to do with this. But, get back to it. Yeah, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different from coding. Let's move that out of the way so that it's not sitting in front of my face. I'm a little bit exhausted. I've had a long week. I'm currently working just a few more hours than I used to leading up to now. I'm recovering from long COVID. I have chronic fatigue. I have to take it carefully. And my head is really not in the space to do coding today. So I thought instead I have an old laptop and I've been meaning to actually get rid of it for an age because it just shut down randomly. It was a little bit of a pain in the neck. It's been replaced. It was taking up space. And I was about to take out the M2 drive from the laptop when I suddenly had a thought of, well, why don't we try Linux on this? Been wanting to play with Linux for a while. I'm a developer who uses Windows or Mac sometimes. I've never really got to grip with Linux, never really spent time with it in order to get to grips with it. And I wanted to have a play. So, yeah, I've installed Linux. It actually makes an old, slow machine fairly snappy. All of the Linux proponents out there 100% agree with you. It really does make the machine a lot snappier than it was under Windows. I couldn't update it to Windows 11 anyway because it's not supported. Windows 10 is going out of support. So I needed to do something. And yeah, I installed Linux on it. It's working quite nicely. It's there's a couple of things that I can't get working as I want. We'll come to those in a minute. But I have had a lot of fun playing with it and trying it out, and great battery life, snappy. But it gets hot very quickly. Not only does it get hot quickly, I mean, it's currently ticking over at 46, 47 degrees on the CPU right now. The fans spin up. They're not super noisy, but not much comes out of the back of the fans, even when they are running. And you have this wonderful smell in there, which says to me that something's getting hotter than it should do. And considering the state of the inside of it that I saw when I dismantled it to take out the M.2 drive, I have a feeling I know what it is. And we have Tyndall in the snap. Hello, Tyndall. So you got a question here. Come up. My machine's doing weird stuff today. Work for me. Work. There we go. Snappy. Yes, it's snappy. It works. It does stuff again. It was... I'm going to show you the laptop in a minute, and then I'll explain why it was replaced. And yeah, then we'll take a look around it now, get it dismantled, see if we can get it cleaned up, and see how it's running. So why is it a pleb? I am completely out of touch when it comes to Linux. I always thought in the past, you know, everybody said Red Hat, then they said Debian, then they said Ubuntu. Last time I went online and asked, I was going to put Linux on an old Mac that I had until the battery went boom. Right until then, everybody online when I asked said, go to Mint. So I thought, fine, we'll give Mint a try. We'll see what happens. And yeah. Boo about the... I've got to be honest here. This was in the noughties. This is a long time ago that I'm talking about. Let's just see if we can get rid of the bot in the chat. I'm not that great at looking after... Come on. Oh, the body's a butt. Yes, the body's absolutely a butt. And I would really love to know how I can block that bot in the chat. Do I have to do it here? How do I block the bot? Okay, here's a second one. I know I've done it in the past, but how do I make you mod? Because I will quite happily make you mod. Thank you so much for the offer. Oh, and thank you, Johan B, for reporting it. Okay. Right. Let's see. I really should practice this more before I come on stream. Tyndall, could you do me a favor and tell me where I need to go to make you a mod? Let's get this sorted now. I know it's in here somewhere. I've done it for somebody else. Ah, moderation. Is it this one? Can I make somebody mod in here? Where did I do it? What is in just type @Tyndall/mod? Is that what you mean? Let me show you where I am. That one. No, that's my laptop. Hey, not that one. That one. Okay. So this is the screen that I'm looking at right now. /mod Tyndall. /mod Tyndall. I'm getting a nice roundy thing. Wow, you heard the thing. Did it work? Because I've got an error on my side. I've got an error on my side because I was doing it in the wrong screen. Of course I was. There we go. Done. Thank you so much for that. Right, shall we get back to reality then? Where have I gone? We went? We went! Okay, cool. Right, so since as we've wasted enough time on trying to get all of that working and all of that, let's take a look at the laptop, shall we? So here's my desktop speaker. This is a wonderful test for the desktop speaker because this is where I'm going to be building Lego, hopefully at some point soon. I want to get back to doing that. It's a lot of fun. You have the power! Oh, it's taking me back to my youth. So this little machine that isn't so little. It is I think it's about a 2016 Asus UX501. Awesome little machine when I got it. It's i7, 6th gen, I believe. 4K touchscreen, which I love. It came with 16 gig and it had one expansion slot to take it up to 24. Oh yeah, there's lots of Sveitag stickers. If we look on this side, there's more Sveitag stickers. All the Sveitag stickers. Oh yeah, 4K, absolutely. It's I don't buy 1080p laptops anymore. It gives me eye strain. It just annoys me. So yes, always 4K. Even my 13-inch laptops, 4K, because even if I'm tired and have to run them at 200%, so basically 1080p, the crispness of that screen stops all of the the eye strain when I'm working. So absolutely 4K. It comes with, I think this was the first laptop I had with an M2 drive, 2016. That probably makes sense. Only half a terabyte, but perfectly fine for what I was using for. And yeah, it was nice. It's not too heavy. It has cables on the side. I can plug a HDMI directly in. This is the last laptop I ever brought that I could plug HDMI directly into the laptop. Barrel power, which, boo, it does have a Thunderbolt port, but it can't charge via the Thunderbolt port, which is a shame because to use it, it means I need its charger. And I've got so used to just plugging any old USB-C charger into my machines. Yeah, it worked. It was a very nice machine. It's a little bit, floppy. It doesn't really come over that well on the camera, but it does bend a little bit when you press on it, and you can feel it when you're typing. But for the time when I got it, this was an absolute top-notch last time laptop. It's a little bit like every other machine from that age. 100%. Absolutely. There were so many things that I could have gone with as well as this. I went for this because I'd had previous Asus machines and they were awesome. And yeah, scaling works. It feels wasteful. Honestly, try it. That would be my advice there. Just the eye strain bit that I was talking about. I own a Mac, but I'm not a Mac fangirl. But their scaling is nice. It makes it more pleasant to use. So I see your point with wasteful. I have the same thing, like 4K screen. I should be using 4K. But actually, as long as I'm able to use it and I can see enough on screen and I'm not getting eye strain, it's quite nice. Yes. I've seen that one. It's all of the wonderful tests. I said that one's not actually too bad considering its age. It is all aluminium. It's all metal, so it's a good machine. I'm happy with it. Why did I stop using it? Because it was powerful enough at the point where I was doing it. This ties in with my first ever time giving a public talk at Sveitug, hence the Sveitug stickers. Please tell me if I pronounce it wrong, by the way. I try and pronounce Sveitug correctly, but I know I'm murdering the Swedish language. I apologize. About 10 minutes before I was due to go to the stage where I was giving, say, my first ever talk, never spoke at a meetup. I'd done a 5-minute presentation in the office. That was it before I went to Sveitug in 2019. And 10 minutes before I was due to go on, and it blue screened me. And that freaked me out. That got me in such a panic for the 10 minutes before going out there. Reset the machine. Thankfully, everything kind of worked okay. I got through my presentation and loved it, hence still speaking. Came home, did it again, reinstalled Windows, did it again. And at the time, I wasn't in the best headspace, and I just didn't have it in me to dismantle it and see what was wrong, because I didn't trust myself with anything back then. And so I replaced it with something newer, thinner, lighter, more powerful. I'm just going to get rid of that a second, because don't take this the wrong way, but I don't want to show you my password. Yeah, so I didn't have it in me to play with it at that point. So, fast forward to now. It's been actually I gave it to my son for a while so he could play with it. That's why it's got stickers on the keypad, and to be honest, that's why it looks like it's covered in sticky fingerprints too. No password doxing. I'm going to speak too soon that I'm going to have to change all my passwords at the end of this stream, but no password doxing. I hope. Oh, cool. Okay, I'm liking this camera. You can't see the fingerprints. I'm looking at it here, and yeah, it looks like a toddler's used it, because a toddler's used it. And eventually it died on him as well. It just slowed to a crawl, as laptops seem to. And so we did the whole, my partner got my laptop, he got their laptop, and I got a new laptop because I'm the techie in house, so I get the new ones, which other people in the house think is unfair, and I may have a different opinion on that. And then it just got put into storage, and I was trying to do a cleanup, and I wanted to take the M.2 drive out, and that's just a point where I thought, let's try putting Linux on this, and if it works, We'll dismantle it, we'll give it a clean, and that might actually make a nice stream at some point. That's what we're going to be doing today. So have you tested NoDocs extension? I haven't yet. I need to install it. Do me a favor. Just keep on annoying me on Twitter and I will get around to doing that. But it's one of those things where my brain just completely forgets everything I need to do, but I absolutely need to put NoDocs on there. I am going to do it. Right, before we dismantle it, I just want to show you the results of the test that I've just done. So I believe that is this one. So this is my Linux machine here. Let's get rid of the display. The display didn't want to work. Absolutely did not want to work. It was scaring me just a little bit, to be honest. I've done 3 benchmarks on it. I did Jetstream and got 125,000. I did Motion Mark and got 337, and I did Speedometer 3 and got a whopping 6. Now, I don't know if we're going to improve this at all. The main thing that I wanted to do is have a look down here at the temperature. Now, you can see sitting here idling, we get a temperature of about 46, 47 degrees. It's actually cooler than it ran under Windows, I think. But it's still a little bit warmer than I think it should be, considering it's basically doing nothing. When I ran Jetstream, it got right up to 90 plus, and with the other two, it got up to the like nearly 80. Can I send you to the link to those? I can indeed send you the link to those. Actually, if you go to, let me just do that now. There you go. You can still see me here. Browser. Okay, so if you go to browserbenchmark.org, then you get the links to all 3 of those benchmarks. Okay, so that's one thing that I've done. The other thing that I've done, which is just annoying the hell out of me, I don't know what's going on with it. I wanted to run the static web app CLI on this because I do a lot of things with, I do a lot of playing around with static web apps. So I've installed the static web app and we have a start, and it spins up a static web app and it does stuff and it takes a long time. And there we go. We're instantly up to 50 degrees and it's not really done anything yet. And if we control and click, unable to connect, I'm getting that all of the time. It's driving me up the wall. So that's one thing I've got to fix. And the other one, I want to put OneDrive on here because we have a shared OneDrive account. And that's kind of our shared documents, invoices, receipts. That runs currently on my streaming machine, but I'd quite like my streaming machine for me. So my old file server, I also want to put Linux on there and play with that one too. But I've got to get OneDrive working first before I can change that one. And we have Tobias here. Hello, Tobias. Awesome to see you. How are you doing? We're just going to see if we can break this laptop or make it better or spend time working on it and doing nothing with it. We're going to find out soon. Oh, and we have Fuel Stable. Hello. Nice to see you here. And yes, do they need a brand new laptop with tons of... Exactly. This is exactly my point. And I don't like buying a cheap laptop that's going to be out of date in a couple of years. I'd rather buy a decent one and pass them down the line. But like I say, opinions differ in the house somewhat. I can see that. Okay, let's get on with the fun stuff then, shall we? What we're going to do is shut down the machine. So, yeah. Close the terminal. And close the machine. Shut down. And then we're going to see what we can do. Seriously, I apologize in advance for how disgusting this thing is on the inside. Where is it? That's the one that we want. But yes, it's going to be interesting in a second. So there's the front of the laptop. I'd say we have all the stickers. My son kind of went overboard and I had a pile of stickers and he just tried to put as many on the laptop as he possibly could, which is why there's stickers over stickers over stickers. And the only thing that I told him he couldn't do with the stickers is he wasn't allowed to cover Hello Kitty, Unikitty, Harley Kitty, or Deadpool Kitty, because those things from Coding After Work are just awesome, and I didn't want those covered up with something else. Everything else was fair game, and oh, he went for it. He really went for it. Okay, so let's unplug this one. Let's flip it over and start to get it fixed. So I have some tools that I'm using here. Let me get my mouse out of the way and take some tea, because yeah, the British need tea when they're working. I have a set of, where's my camera? We just have a set of precision screwdrivers. I've had those for years, which is why the box is dead. And then for the non-standard sockets, we just have a cheap precision set that I got from Amazon a few years ago, possibly for this very laptop. These tools are probably as old as the laptop because I needed to get into it, and it was pentalobe screws. Is it pentalobe or is it 6? One of the two. So we're going to take all of these out. Do you know what I should have done? I should have got somewhere to put these screws safe, because we're going to get lots of screws today. And I don't think I have anything in my studio that's going to help me. That'll work. We'll just use the light switch box. Wonderful thing about the Philips light switches, they're magnetic. So I just have it stuck to the front of my computer. Yeah, I need a magnet. Absolutely. I think if I'm going to do this more than just very rarely, I'm going to have to get myself one of those. Excuse me. And that's before we get into the dust inside of it. So get all of these out. Now, Asus is really annoying with this. And after I bought the extra memory and bought the toolkit to take it apart, I very nearly got really upset and thought I'd wasted my money because I was going to have to pay somebody to fit it. They do what HP also does. When I was repasting an old HP laptop recently, which also really appreciated that repasting, I had to pull off all sorts of things underneath the laptop, and it never goes back together properly, and it's annoying. And this one is kind of the same. We have all of these tiny screws here. And then if we get our iFixit toolkit, and we want to get one of these out. As you can see, I'm completely disorganized. This was kind of a last-minute decision to do, so it's been a little bit of an interesting thing getting all this set up. But this one, underneath here, we have the sticky feet that never stick as they're supposed to once you've taken them out once, hiding 2 screws. I can't tell you how long it took me to find these screws. It was an embarrassingly long amount of time. And it was really tough to get out the first time because there's a layer of plastic underneath here, which is kind of a nightmare to work through. Okay, are you ready for the grossness? How did I take this off last time? Yeah, there's already dust coming out of it. So there's our little bit dusty aluminium interior. Let's put that over here out of the way. And then we've got our laptop sitting here, and I'm going to have to find a place for my mouse because I keep on hitting my monitor here. But yeah, why do they do? It's a nightmare. The new HPs, well, the newer HPs, they have a long plastic foot across the back edge, and you've got to lever that whole plastic foot off. It never goes back straight. It never goes back where it should be. My hands feel gross, and I barely touched it yet. You're running motion mark. Oh, good luck with that. 65 mid test. Only using the 16 main. How many cores do you have? And yeah, we have the dust bunnies here. I hate to see what the inside of these fans are going to look like. But I gotta say, it's a nicely laid out laptop, really. We got our battery at the top, which thankfully isn't a spicy pillow yet. There's our expandable RAM, only one slot. There, like I say, there's 8 gig on board, and then there's 16 gig on board, and you can add an extra 8 to it. Why you couldn't add another 16 to it, I don't know, but there we go. NVMe SSD, which I'm guessing is probably a Gen 3 being 2016, but it was seriously fast compared to the SATA SSD, so it was still awesome. We have an M2. Oh, that's interesting. I could even upgrade. I could put Wi-Fi 7 in this. That's cool. That actually came broken. My Wi-Fi performance was absolutely awful when I got this laptop. And when I did eventually get it open to upgrade the memory to put this extra 8 gig in there, I saw that one of the antennas wasn't connected. So bad mistake in the factory, but at least once it's on, it's fixed, and I didn't have to send it back. So what did you? So you got 727. I can't remember what mine scored, but it wasn't good. 281 on Jetstream, and wow! So my 6 on speedometer is not necessarily that evil then. I wonder how you get a decent score on that then. I'm gonna have to run it on the MacBook and see what that does. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's see whether or not we can get this all unplugged. Let's see how to unplug the battery. I'm regretting not getting my headset mic on for this work. I'm trying to figure out whether or not that goes backwards or up. But I'm terrified about ripping something off of the motherboard if I do it wrong. Framework laptops. I have been wondering if my next laptop should be a framework laptop. Not necessarily the lightest, not necessarily the fastest, but something that you can just upgrade easily and constantly does seem like a nice thing. I say a laptop where you can change parts without having to use toxic glue dissolvers, etc. 100%. I do not understand why batteries and stuff are glued down. They can be held in with a screw. I don't know if this one's glued and screwed, but it's certainly screwed in place. But yeah, I hate the whole we're not going to let people fix their laptops mentality of some things. Why won't? Oh, there we go. Okay, I've either just ripped. No, it does come up. Phew. Yes. Just a little bit more and we could like have a slot in, slot out. It's yeah. And Teams. Does anybody like using Teams? My streaming machine is a 7800X3D, and using Teams takes it into the 20-25% mark sometimes, and I just don't get it. And thankfully, I never had to use Skype, so that's kind of lucky, I guess. And long may it remain so. Oh, lovely. That's kind of like saying that influencers. Yes. Okay. Okay, so we have the battery off. That's a good start. Let's try and get the fans out and see how bad they are, and then we'll get these heat pipes off and see just how bad it is behind there, shall we? So, can we rip this out? You've got to admire the fact that I'm enough of an idiot to actually say, look, I'm too tired to code, so instead I'm going to play with fiddly little electrics. Somewhere along the line, that doesn't seem to be a good choice. 1, 2, okay. Then we have 3 screws here. Now, are these different? These are, of course, different screws, but thankfully they're different enough that I can still keep everything separated. When I was doing my Spectra X360, that actually had 2 different types of, well, it had 2 different screws to hold the back on that looked almost the same. The length was just different. And it had 2 different types of screws holding the fans in place. That was a nightmare. Yeah, if you play with electrics wrong enough, they might wake you up. I've done that before, and I'm going to be honest, that wasn't fun. Thankfully, I had dry hands, so it wasn't bad, but it scared me. Can we get... Really? Have I really got to take off all of the heat pipes to get the fan out? You know what? I think I do. Wow, what a design decision. You would think that the fans would come out more often. Than the heat pipes. But no, it seems that they're held underneath the heat pipes. Okay, so I guess we'll do the other fan and then we'll do the heat pipes. Thankfully not. I have thermal paste left over from building this thing. So that's what I'm going to be using. And I even remembered to bring it upstairs, which I wasn't necessarily expecting to happen. It did take me multiple trips, but I did remember to bring it upstairs. Ryzen 7 Pro 58758. Yeah, nice. 32 gig of RAM, as it should be. Yeah, I think that's decent enough for a lot of things. And yeah, 16 gig, it's not enough anymore, is it? I remember fighting for 16 gig, and now 16 gig is just, yeah, but you can't, that's just not it. Tyndall, you're a coward. Come on. You can't say that much and not follow it up. What are you running? Let's see what we get to. Yeah, it really does. I've got my Spectre 360 is 16 gig, and it's kind of fine for many things still these days. It runs Windows 11, but as soon as you try to do a development on it specifically, It just fills up way too quickly and then it just slows down. 64 gig is sooner. Yeah, that's that's the one thing that I future-proofed on my streaming machine. The difference in price between 32 and 64 wasn't that much, so this one got 64 thrown into it, and I'm pleased I did because I have seen it peak at over 32. So I'm using it well, I think. Okay. Let's work on the second fan. Forgot where I was for a second. Take this off. Second challenge of the day. Can Stacy remember where all of these screws went like she thinks she can at this moment? You're also stuck underneath the heat pipe, aren't you? Yeah. So the heat pipe, it seems to be loose at the edge, although it is stuck down here. You know what I did forget? I forgot the vacuum cleaner. I have a little handheld vacuum cleaner that I wanted to use, but I forgot it. So I'm just going to have to brush it onto my desk and vacuum the desk later. And then we need to undo these. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws holding on the heat pipes. I think the warranty was void a long time before now. So I don't particularly mind too much that I've just taken that off. Oh, you nasty, nasty thing. I don't mind a warranty sticker that you can't put back on, but making it split so you can't even get to the screw head is nasty. So we have... Hey, they're numbered. So we have 1. They are the same. Nice, thank you, Asus. The heat pipe screws are the same as the fan screws. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can count. Even on a Friday afternoon. 5, 6. The graphics card in this, by the way, I think it's a GTX 980. So this is before we got to RTX. Come on. Ow. Wow, that's nicely stuck down. I am fairly sure that I have no other screws on here. Anybody else see any screws? Come on. There we go. A little bit of leverage against the case. And we have 100% dry thermal paste. Oh, this feels gross. Then we get our fans. You know what? That's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. That could have been worse. So we're going to see how that one clears up. This one looks pretty much the same. But that's... I'm going to be honest. This is actually looking far better than I was expecting. So let's just take that out. And then we'll get back to the chat room for a second. Ew, that's gross. You're going to hear lots of ews from me today, I think. I'm going to clean these out in a bit with a brush that I've I was going to say brush that I bought for this, but it's not. It's an old makeup brush that I no longer use. So where were we in the chat? Let me go back up a bit here. I think this is about where we got to. I didn't want to buy 8 gig sticks, but yes. You know what? I can go with that one. I would not put 2 8 gig sticks in there either. And the silicon shortage was such a nightmare. This streaming PC, I have been meaning to build it for 2 years now. But I held off because the cost of everything was just so over the top. I couldn't justify spending that kind of money, so I had to just keep on waiting. It wasn't needed. It was kind of a want as much as anything else. So I held off until it became affordable. And I think for the parts that I put in here, I basically saved like 50% over what it would have been when I was first looking at it. It was just a joke. Yes. Same thing with the 7000 series. If you're talking about the Ryzen processors, never put 1 stick in there. Although they run well on 2, but it's got to be dual channel RAM. If you put it on single channel RAM, they really don't like it. So I have 232s running in here. I think it's only about 5100 mega transfers per second. But that was all I could find, so I didn't really have much of a choice. But well, it's snappy enough. It runs Horizon Zero Dawn at 4K with everything turned up to the max, no scaling, at between 40 and 70 frames per second. So I'm happy enough with it. But no doubt I could get better if I upgraded the graphics card, but I'm not spending $2,000 on a graphics card. I don't see the point. 10-year-old desktop. That is impressive. A 10-year-old desktop that still runs stuff fine. That's what I find impressive there. You're just spending your money on better stuff. Always buy as much as you can afford and as much as you need. That's kind of like the important bit, isn't it? And yeah, run with the amount of power that you need. I researched for a while what to put in this desktop. I settled on the 7800 just because the productivity wasn't that much less than the 7700X. The price wasn't that much more, but gaming performance was massively different on the 7800X 3D. And I settled on AMD for the stupid reason of future-proofing. The socket 1700 that Intel's using at the moment? This is the last gen that's going to use it, whereas I'm sure AMD is going to stick with the AM5 for 1, maybe 2 generations more. So I just thought it meant maybe I've got a chance of keeping my motherboard for longer. I like this one. The benefit of streaming when taking something apart, you can watch the recording backwards to help with reassembly. That's a damn good one. You can also see what happened to all the screws because you can follow them on screen. What else do we have in here? And we're back to Teams. Yes, the only software I think my computer is too slow is Teams. It's the fact that when you run Teams and your laptop suddenly sounds like a jet engine. Oh my God. Fun fact, Volvo had a pipe with threads on both ends for their 740. One side was mil, the other inches. How many people cross-threaded that one? Why would you do such a thing? I mean, it's bad enough that my Spitfire's all in Imperial. So I have to have a tool set specifically for my Spitfire But to have both imperial and metric on the same piece, let alone in the same car. Wow. Had a phone of which the SD card died just within warranty, contacted support, told them it was an import phone. Ah, yes. Not repairable. It's from the US. I had a similar thing from the UK. When I bought stereo for the living room, I saved up, and it was about 33% cheaper from the UK. And before I left the UK, there was a shop that I really trusted. So I went back, I brought it from there, drove it here. It broke, and I contacted the support for the manufacturer in the Netherlands, which wasn't the manufacturer, it was just an agent for, downright refused to look at it. I had to FedEx it to the UK and pay for them to FedEx it back in order to get that repaired. I was so annoyed. I am not going to put dust bunnies back in. I'm happy enough to take dust bunnies out. That's actually one thing that we've not checked. We'll check that in a minute. How many dust bunnies are in the fins of the radiator? That one's looking at it from the top. Again, it's not as bad as I was expecting, but we'll see. Teams runs fine on a MacBook M3. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say, Teams runs nicely on my MacBook. I only have the M1 MacBook Pro, but it does. It's not the M1 Pro, it's just the MacBook Pro 13. But yes. Where are we? And then AM5 for PC. Yeah. I remember that was said for a downside, if I remember correctly, when I was looking it up. If you go for the AM5 socket, then you're going to have to run DDR5 memory, so budget that in. But by the time I was building it, there wasn't that much in there. So Intel does 2 gens per socket. Yeah, the AM4 lived forever, didn't it? I'm hoping that the AM5 lives as long. I've got a lovely motherboard. It's got more power than a 7800 is ever going to suck into it, so it should be nicely future-proof. It's got 4 M2 slots. It's a nice board. I don't want to replace it if I don't have to. How many people had to buy that darn pipe from Volt? Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Yeah. My dad asked a friend to lay the new one and thread it. He looked at it and went, WTH. I can imagine my dad saying the same thing when he was fixing cars. But he did that one time. My gearbox broke in the Spitfire, and he took it out and looked at it, and it was a Frankenstein's monster of about 4 different versions of the gearbox that had been hammered together. No wonder it didn't work well. Repaired it yourself, didn't bother with shipping. Oh, nice! 16 euros, 6 minutes. Now that is a phone repair. I must say, phones, I don't like touching because I don't want to play with the hot glue and everything else. But yeah, laptops is nice. Why do something properly when you can use violence instead? Yeah, the car that I brought, on the outside, it looked stunning. The engine looked in good condition. The bodywork looked in good condition. It was only the soft top and the interior that was completely destroyed. But that was fine because I wanted something that I could fit a new interior in. I had somebody make me a nice leather interior for it. Once we put that interior in, however, it kind of wasn't that nice anymore. We saw all of the junk that you don't see when you're buying a car because you had to dismantle it to get to that point, and it's a bit of a nightmare. It's we'll see. I'm still waiting to get it back. I've not seen it in 2 years. It's been at the garage waiting to be worked on. It's hopefully I'm going to get it back for the summer. I'm considering electrifying it. which I know is sacrilege to a lot of classic owners out there. But I don't know. I quite like the idea of 100 brake horse more than the car's meant to have and not smelling like a 1970s garage every time I drive it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's get on with this then, shall we? So I need to get my other little box of goodies. For anybody that knows the Netherlands, by the way, I went to Hamer at the weekend to buy some stuff, and I just happened to see these sitting on their shelves. You buy the little baskets, and then you buy the letters to go on it. So I had my Stacy Cash, Stacy Clouds, and my son went nuts putting hearts on it. I just got to figure out where I'm going to put those in this room. But we have our little brush to try and get a little bit of the dust off of here. And then, yeah, I have, I can't pronounce that word, but I have it. You drive an electric. Yeah, but my engine doesn't work very well, and it's annoying me, and no one seems to be able to fix it properly. So that's why I'm kind of considering the electric. I am going to miss the noise because it's got a race prepped engine and full sports exhaust on the thing, and I've had people ask me before, how do you fit a V8 under a bonnet that small? And then you open the bonnet and it's a little 1.5 inline 4 engine, and it's cute. I am most definitely. Where's the right button? That's not the right button. Where's my button? That's the right button. Yeah, we'll see. If you have to add speakers. Yeah, I think that my biggest issue is going to be, more than anything else, to be honest, starting the engine is what made me smile. That's the bit that I'm going to miss. It is just going to feel like an electric go-kart because it feels like a go-kart. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right, let's give these. Oh my God, I don't. Yes, you can see dust coming out of that. I should have been wearing a mask for this. Oh my God, that's gross. And this, people, is why you should clean your laptops more than once every 8 years. Especially if you've got active cooling in there. Because this is wowzer. You know, that's not a bad idea. Shall I move the laptop? I've just cleaned the laptop, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's now covered in dust again. So we're going to be cleaning that one again in a second. Where can I put this? That can go on the shelf over there. MR2s. Oh, nice. Was that the Mark 1, the Mark 2, or the Mark 3? I had a Mark 2 MR2 for 6 months and it nearly bankrupted me, but I loved that car. Yeah, that was the one that I had. Everybody thought it was a Ferrari and I never corrected them. Yeah, yep, I get what you say there. It's having that engine literally just behind your head was awesome. I loved it. The thing I really hated about it was that That 4-cylinder sounded like an absolute bag of bolts for the first 5 minutes. After that, it sounded nice, but that first 5 minutes, it was a Toyota 4-cylinder warming up. But once it did get warmed up, it was lovely. I adored that car, but it seriously nearly bankrupted me with insurance. I just got out of university. Everybody said, don't buy it. You can't afford it. It's like, I can afford it. Look. Yeah, I couldn't afford it. But wow, what a 6 months. Of course. GTI 16 Targa roof. And if it wasn't raining, that roof was off. I'm a firm believer if you've got a convertible and it's not raining, that roof has to be down. I'm same. Absolutely. I had a 205 convertible. That was my second car. I brought it from my boss. And I actually broke the screen on the roof because it was -5 and I dropped the lid. And it was a plastic screen that bent. And where it bent, it just snapped because it was so cold. And it leaked thereafter. And I really didn't care that much because it was just awesome. I'm going to say it depends on how you styled it as to whether or not I think that's really horrible. Let's see if we can carry on getting this a little bit cleaner and then move on to the other one. I mean, I kept it fairly standard, but I also had literally no money when I was driving that thing because 75% of my salary went on paying the maintenance, insurance, and loan for that car. Don't be me, kids. Don't buy a stupidly expensive sports car at 22 years old because people aren't going to like you for it. And by people, I mean insurance companies. Okay, you know what? I'm going to call that one done. It's not perfect, but I don't think it has to be for this laptop. Shall we see how much crap comes out of the second one? Oh, wowzer. How disgusting are human houses when you see the amount of crap that comes out of these things? Yeah. Yeah, the fun one is the server that I'm talking about that I'm also going to clean on stream. This is clean compared to that server. I've already ripped off a few panels and had a look, and it's not good. It is seriously not good. But that machine's even older. It's an i7 2700K, I believe. And it was actually my works machine. And when they replaced the machines, they gave us the... we had the chance to buy our old ones at a greatly reduced price. Sharing is caring. Manage options. I'm going to show you a trick. Something that I got from a friend of mine. Let's have a look. I can't see a thing on my desktop anymore. So we have all of these things, which are really annoying because all of the legitimate interests you have to go and click manually. If we open up a terminal and go to our console, I wrote a little script rather than doing all of these things manually. I've just got a JavaScript that goes through, finds all of the checkboxes, and sets them all to false. So that I don't have to do all of that manually. And I'm considering trying to write my first extension for Chrome and putting that in there. You know what? When you said you'd styled it and you apologized, I was expecting worse than this. I have seen worse than this. I actually really love those headlights. They look so much better than the standard ones. I'm not getting the last one, which is a shame because I'd really like to see the last one. Let's do this there we I'm going to give you a pass on this. Seriously, I'm going to give you a pass on this. I don't think that that is in any way the worst styling that I've seen to an MR2. I'm not sure that the side skirts are my style, but to be honest, they match the car. You also had the first gen too, because you've got the best spoiler on the back. I didn't like it when they took the spoiler off of the side of the car. But it's not bad. And like I say, those lights, better than standard. But I miss that car. And I love your seats. The seats are quite cool. Yeah, the headlights are a nightmare. Do you know what I really hated about the headlights? If you had your side lights on and you flashed your headlights, they didn't pop that down. You had to turn your side lights off to get the headlights to pop back down again, and then turn your headlights back on. Yeah, I believe you. 100% I believe you. But no. Nope, that's the wrong one again. I'm going to get used to these buttons at some point. Oh, tiny pieces and photocopied instructions. Jeez, yeah, I can see why that was a pain. Okay, so. Oh, thank you. It's absolutely Stacey's stamp of approval. I have seen such, as Top Gear used to say, garbage when it comes to these things. I almost brought one just to kind of relive my youth, which is a bad idea. And I was looking at the mess that some of them were in, and it almost like it upsets you. They just destroyed such an awesome car. But yeah, no, I like yours. It's fine, really. Okay, so we have our two fans done. Let's give the desktop a quick brush down. And then we can get started with those heat sinks. Wow, they're heavier than I was expecting. So they're actually not that bad. I don't know how well you can see that. Yeah, there's some gunk in them, but they're not that bad. Okay, no, we'll go with that. We'll have some cold tea. Computer program, I can drink cold tea. Yeah, that wonderful feeling when you get to re-experience all of it, and it's not necessarily as fun as it was. Do you know the big thing that I think would disappoint me with the MR2? It was the fastest car I'd owned at that point. Like I said, I brought it when I was really young. It was stupid. I took out a loan. I couldn't afford to get it. And at 22 years old, having a car that could do 140, 150 mile an hour was mind-blowing. 0 to 100 Ks in about 7.5 seconds or so. It was, for the time, it was quick. Yeah, I'm talking like 1998 here, I think I got it. Not supercar performance, but it was quick. My current car is 2 seconds faster and does the same top speed, and it's a lot more comfortable and carries 4 people and luggage. And whilst that's all sensible and boring, the speed when you put your foot down isn't. And I think if I got an MR2 now, I would be disappointed at its performance. You know what? It does, but I gotta be honest, so does the Beamer. The Beamer feels like a slightly less stiff MR2 to me when I drive it. It's it is, you sit in a very sporty position like you did in the MR2. You're down low, your legs are in front of you. It's not kind of a car where you sit like that on the seats and your legs point straight down. I got the 330, so it's got plenty of oomph in there, not Polestar oomph. It does not do 0 to 60 in 4.3. It's about a second and a bit slower than that. But no, when it comes to corners, it just goes around corners. And if you have the steering in sport, you can play with it, you can work with it. If you do trail braking, it feels stunning into the corners. But it's not an MR2 and it's not a Spitfire. It still has that to it. It is still a family saloon. Okay, let's get rid of some of this thermal paste. Now the question is this going to come off with kitchen towel? Or is it going to be that rock solid and now I'm going to have to scrape it off? Wow, that's better than I was expecting. I'm going to be using the alcohol to clean it up at the end. I just want to try and get as much off as possible before we do that. You know what? That cleaned up a lot better than I was expecting it to. I'm slightly concerned that I can't see the thermal pads. I'm hoping that they're still on the motherboard. Wow, that actually cleaned up quite okay. Okay, let's do this bit. And yes, I did make the joke to my partner. Okay, I've got the alcohol. I'm going to go up and stream now. Yeah. That joke at proper. Thank you. I do try occasionally to be funny. I generally fail, but I do try. Now wipe it with a towel again? Okay, I'm gonna bow to your knowledge here, but why do I want to wipe it with a towel again? Because I thought the idea was that wipe this over with alcohol to make sure that you got no grease and stuff on there, and then let the alcohol evaporate. Okay, nice. Get the last bit off now you softened it. Okay, well, we'll try that one. I think drying it's not so big an issue. It's not 99% alcohol because the best I could find is 96. But it does evaporate quite nicely. Okay, I'm going to give this one more go with alcohol, and then I'm going to move on to the chips, which are the bits that I absolutely hate. I'm always worried about ruining the chips with this kind of stuff. Oh, that does look better. Thank you, Tyndall. That was a great idea. You got it, Ben? Okay, well, thanks for joining me. And yeah, have a good evening. Okay, so we have our heat pipes done. Now let's get the chips done and see if we can get this thing back together. Let's not knock the alcohol all over the desk. So yes, we have the thermal. They're not great thermal pads anymore, but I don't have any thermal pads to replace them, so they're going to have to do. Let's see how we can put this back together. Right, I am going to go down the route here of softening this first because I really don't like the idea of pushing hard on these chips. That's coming off okay. Well, there's our NVIDIA GPU. Yeah, that's actually cleaning up quite nicely. Yep, I'm going to go down that route. Thank you. I really appreciate the advice there. This is a bit that like I'm a little bit scared about for doing this. How much can I break when doing this bit? Yeah, you take care of yourself too. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for sharing the pics of the car. Okay, let's clean this up a bit more. Then we've got to put it all back together again. Now, the fun thing is, I was planning like an hour stream today, and so far we've been going for a bit longer than that. We're not close to finishing yet. I've got to pick up my car from the garage at some point today as well. Finally getting my summer tires. I was late getting them organized. And then not only was I late getting them organized, the workshop had a huge backlog. And it took them more than a month to get me in to have them changed. We can just clean the outside a little bit more, and then we'll do one last clean. Cotton swab. Try and finish it up. Right, one last one, and then we'll call it a day and start to put stuff back together. That'll be fun, won't it? And then we'll see whether or not I've killed it. I'm really curious. Is this still going to work when it's finished? Who knows? Right, I think it's not perfect, but I think that will do. Right, so let's get our fans back in. So that's one. Get those plugged in down here. Okay, we have two fans in there. And now we need the thermal paste, which I did remember. I'm using MX6 purely because when I looked online building the desktop, it got okay reviews. And I do not know what the perfect amount of thermal paste is, so I'm probably going to put too much on. And I just spread it across the motherboard. Thank goodness it's not electrically conductive. Can we give that a bit of a quick clean? Okay, this is a point where I flick a component off the board and start swearing. Okay, so this thing comes over like that. Is this going to stick down again? Yeah, it is. Okay, let's put the lid on the alcohol so I stop breathing the fumes. Yeah, that was my plan. It's I think I put enough on there that when you push the heatsink down, it's gonna spread out correctly. Oh, interesting. It did not. CPU's okay, but that GPU is looking a little bit bare. I'm really pleased you said that, otherwise I would have missed it. I'll spread that out just a little bit. Put this one back on. Okay, I'm going to screw this down, and then I'm just going to go offline just for a couple of seconds because I've just got a phone call that I need to take. Yep, I checked the radiator section. It was, I gave it a quick blow through, and I gave it a quick brush, but it wasn't actually too bad. So now we can put these screws back in the right order. I'm not tightening them up yet. I'm just getting them in, and then I'll go, once they're all in, I'll go once over to make sure that they're tight. One, two, three, four, five, six. Now we just have the 6 for the fans. 3. Yes. You know, I hope it is cool, and I hope that it works great. It'd be a wonderful lease of life. It'll be less e-waste. If I can not throw something away and find a use for it, then that's such an awesome thing. And with it just being a play laptop, basically, I can install Linux on it. And if I, do everything wrong and completely screw it up, I can just reformat it. It's one of those things that is easy enough to play around with. Why are you not going in? I've got one hole which isn't lining up. Possibly because of this. Possibly because I tightened these down too much. Let's undo these a second. At one time, I might just do a stream installing Linux and development tools. Just to see what it's like. That might be fun to do sometime. You have to tear that. It's on the bottom part. I'm not sure what that means. You have to tear down all the console. There we go. Let's plug the battery back in before we forget, shall we? Dust off the inside of here. And put these back together. And put the screws in the right holes. As you can see, I am being a complete idiot here, and I'm assuming it's going to work. I'm screwing it up before testing it with the 16,000 screws that Asus seems to want to use. Oh, also has news. I'm starting a stream for the company I work for. We're going to start to stream the stuff that we're building in the public space. So we have an API personal finance hub where we are going to be delivering calculation endpoints for mortgages and financial advice and that kind of things. And I'm going to be building an open source SDK in TypeScript and in C#. So I'm going to be streaming that both on the company YouTube channel, Omniplan here in the Netherlands. And I'm also going to be streaming it on this channel here, on my Twitch channel. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of both. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun to get all of this working. It's going to be interesting to see, how much interaction we can get with the open source side of things. And it's going to be fun getting out in more public what we can do and showing our capabilities. Probably mid to the end of July, I'll be starting that. But we'll see, but it's coming. Oh, wow, yes. It's I've seen the teardowns of the PS3s, PS4s, and PS5s. You just and the Xbox. The Xbox is like a tiny slither of PCB in the middle of where does this go? A tiny slither of PCB in the middle of the machine. I am glad I'm not tearing those down. And which Linux? I'm using Mint. So it's already on here. I have a power light. I don't have anything on the screen, which is scaring me. Ah, yeah, I have something on the screen. Or Spannend. Sorry, that's Dutch for exciting. Is our HDMI feed working yet? Well, that's not good. That's a sec. Oh, that's good. There we go. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to dox myself, so hello. Now, I generally ask for the password twice, so I'm going to wait a second before giving you the screen back. There we go. There's a second password. Look at that. We have a machine. That is so cool. Now, I'm going to say the temperatures are not different whatsoever. I may have just wasted all of this time. It may have worked fine before. Who knows? Started with Mint. Now God knows what you're using. I don't know if that's the thing I like about Linux or not, the fact that you can go between the two. Okay, the temperature is settled better. It was settling on like upper 40s, mid 50s, and as I say that, it shoots up to 52. But let's try running just the first benchmark, because that was one that got the CPU the hottest. So I want this page. So Jetstream is the one that got it the hottest. Let's just start that test and see what it does. And then I think I'm going to call it a day for the stream. Keep an eye on that temperature, 52, 54, 56. $59. I'm happy. By now, this was running at 90 degrees plus before I did the repasting. Now, it might still reset, you never know. But it's not getting there quickly, that's for sure. Second question is going to run, so it's probably going to run cooler. Is it going to give us any extra performance? That is the other one. You move to source-based Linux distro, then BSD, but yeah, I think if I get into it and start playing with it, I'll probably end up doing something like that. But yeah, I've just realized that you can't see the temperature thing. So let's just move me up there a little bit. So there you go, 64 degrees. Right now, I'm just learning. So we're going to see where it gets to. This is running 30 degrees cooler than it was. I think I'm going to class 30 degrees cooler. Even if it's the same performance, I am going to class 30 degrees cooler as a definite win. That would be spectacular. Yeah, I've just realized something. I meant to put on some background music while I was doing this work. So a quick question to the chat room. Do you prefer silence with me yapping occasionally? Or do you prefer background music when doing this kind of stuff? I think it's a personal choice based on the people watching and listening. But I just wondered. It's 30 degrees cooler and it scored 7 points less. How is it possible that it's running cooler and scores less? Never mind. I'm still classing it. I was thinking, there we go. So we have silence can be all right if music not too loud. I go with that one absolutely. Reasonable level. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at some background music. Plus, the only background music I have access to is the one that's in StreamYard, and they're not necessarily great. No, it shouldn't be on battery. I'm not sure how in Linux you can turn it on to performance mode. I'm going to have a look at that and see what it's doing. There doesn't seem to be anything here that gives me that performance mode. It's nice to know. You come for the witterings anyway. I can witter on for 90 minutes. Power profiles. Okay, power profiles daemon. I will take a look at that later. I'm going to call this done. Let's go back to my main camera a second. Move across. That was a lot of fun. I didn't know how doing work on a laptop was going to be compared to coding. But that was actually fun. I'm looking forward to building the other machine. It's a desktop, so I've got to see whether or not it fits on my desk. Otherwise, I'm going to come up with some other way of doing it. And on that note, I just got a phone call from my garage, so I guess I better go and pick up my car so I can have it for the weekend. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining today. Thanks to everyone who's been in the chat room. It's been awesome. I've been smiling the whole time. Your advice to make sure that I don't screw up was also really appreciated. And yeah, I hope to see you in a couple of weeks when I'll probably be doing coding again and playing with some of that stuff. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. Bye for now.